fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. A kingdom for a stage, princes to act and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should banner sword and fire crouch for employment. But pardon and gentles all, the flat, unraised spirits that hath dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. This cockpit of the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this wooden O the very cask that did fright the air at Agincourt? Oh, pardon, since a crooked figure may attest in little place a million, let us, ciphers to this great account, on your imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting fronts the narrow, perilous ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your minds. Into 1,000 parts divide one man, and make imaginary armies. Think, when we talk of horses, that you see them printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth. For 'tis your thoughts that must now deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping o'er times, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass. For the which supply, admit me, chorus, to this history, who prologue like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
Where is my gracious Lord of Canterbury?
Not here in presence.
Send for him, good aunt.
Shall we call the ambassador, my liege?
Not yet, my cousin. We would be resolved, before we hear him of some things of weight, to task our thoughts concerning us and France.
God and his angels guard your sacred throne and make you long become it.
Sure, we thank you. My learned lord, we pray you to proceed and justly and religiously unfold what a lost Salic that they have in France, or should not bar us in our claim. And God forbid, my dear and faithful lord, that you should fashion, rest or bow your reading, or nicely charge your understanding soul with opening titles to miscreate, whose right suits not with native colors and the truth. For God doth know how many now in health shall drop their blood in approbation of what your reverence shall incite us to. Therefore take heed, or you would pawn our person. How you awake this sleeping sword of war, we charge you in the name of God, take heed. For never two such kingdoms did contend without much fall of blood, whose guiltless drops are every one a woe, a sore complaint against him whose wrongs give edge to the swords that make such waste in brief mortality. Under this conjuration speak, my lord, for we shall hear, note, and believe in heart that what you speak is in your conscience washed as pure as sin with baptism.
Then hear me, gracious sovereign, and you peers who owe yourselves, your lives and services to this imperial throne. There is no bar to make against your highness's claim to France. For the land selling is in Germany, between the flood of the Saale and the Elbe.
May I with right and conscience make this claim?
The sin upon my head, dread sovereign. For in the book of Numbers it is writ, when the man dies, let the inheritance descend unto his daughter. Good Lord, stand for your own. Unwind your bloody flag. Look back into your mighty ancestors. Go, my dread lord, to your great-grandsire's tomb, from whom you claim it, and invoke his warlike spirit. And that of your great-uncles, Edward the Black Prince, who while in the French crown played a tragedy, making defeat on the foe of France, whilst his most mighty father on a hill stood smiling to behold his lion's whelp forage in the blood of French nobility. O noble English, that could with half your forces entertain the full pride of France, let another half laughing by, all out of work and cold for action.
Awake remembrance of these valiant dead, and with your pursuant arm renew their feet. You are their heir, you sit upon their throne. The blood and courage that renown them runs through your veins, and my thrice pursuant liege is in the very vein born of his youth, ripe for exploits and mighty enterprises.
Your brother kings and monarchs of the earth do all expect that you should rouse yourself, as did the former lions of your
They
blood.
know your grace hath cause and means and might. So hath your highness. Never king of England had nobles richer or subjects more loyal, whose hearts have left their bodies here in England and lie civilians in the fields of France.
Oh, then let their bodies follow them, my liege, with blood and sword and fire to win your right. In aid whereof we, the spirituality, will raise for your highness such a mighty sum as never did the clergy bring at any one time to any of your ancestors.
We most honorably armed to invade the French, that lay down our proportions to defend against the Scots, who will make road upon us with all advantages.
They of those marches, good sovereign, shall make a wall sufficient to defend our inland from the pilfering borderers.
We do not mean the coursing snatchers only, but fear the main intendant of the Scot, who hath been still a giddy neighbor to us. For you shall read that my great-grandfather never went with his forces into France, but the Scot, on his unfurnished kingdom, came pouring like the tide into a breach with ample and grim fullness of his force. Galling this gleaned land with hot assays, girding with grievous siege, castles and towns. That England, being empty of defence, hath shook and trembled at the ill neighborhood.
Then she hath been more feared than harmed, my liege. For she hath not only well defended, but impounded as a stray the King of Scots.
But there's a saying very old and true. If that you will France win, then with Scotland first to begin. For once the eagle England being in prey to her unguarded nest, the weasel Scot comes sneaking and so sucks her princely eggs, playing the mouse in absence of the cat to tear and habit more than she can eat.
It follows then that the cat must stay at home. Yet that has been a crushed necessity, since we have locks to safeguard necessaries and pretty traps to catch the petty thieves. While that the armed hand doth fight abroad, the advised head defends itself at home. For government, go high and lower when put into parts, doth keep in one consent, congregating in a full and natural close like music.
Therefore to France, my liege. Divide your happy England into four, where I'll take you 1/4 into France, and you shall withal make all Gallia shake.
Call him the messenger sent from the Dauphin. Now are we well resolved? By God's help and yours, the noble sinews of our power. France being ours, we'll bend it to our awe, or break it all to pieces. Either our history shall with full mouth speak freely of our acts, or else our grave. And now are we well prepared to know the fair pleasure of our cousin Dauphin. For we hear your greeting is from her and not from the king.
May it please your majesty to give us leave, freely to render what we have in charge. Or shall we sparingly show you far off the Dauphin's meeting and our embassy?
We are no tyrant, but a Christian king, unto whose grace our passion is as subject as our outreach is fettered in our prisons. Therefore, with frank and uncurbed plainness, tell us the Dauphin's mind.
Thus, then in few, your highness, lately sending into France, did claim some certain dukedoms in the right of your great predecessor, King Edward III. In answer of which claim, the prince our master says that you savor too much of your youth, and bids you be advised there's naught in France that can be with a nimble galliard one. You cannot revel into dukedoms there. She therefore sends you, meter for your spirit, this ton of treasure, and in lieu of this desires you let the dukedoms that you claim hear no more of you. This the Dauphin speaks.
What? Treasure? Aunt.
Tennis balls, my liege.
We are glad the Dauphin is so pleasant with us. For present in your pains we thank you for. When we have matched our rackets to these balls, we will, in France, by God's grace, play a set. Shall strike his father's crown into the hand. Tell her she hath made a match with such a wrangler, that all the courts of France will be disturbed with chases. And we understand her well. How she comes o'er us in our wilder days, not measuring what use we made of them. We never valued this poor seat of England. And then we can't say give oneself to barbarous license as 'tis ever common that men are merriest when they are from home. But tell the Dauphin, I will keep my state. Be like a king and show my sail of greatness when I do rouse me in my throne of France. But I have laid by my majesty and plotted like a man for working days, but I will rise there with so full of glory that I will dazzle all the eyes of France. You strike the Dauphin blind to look on us. And tell the pleasant prince, this mock of hers hath turned her balls to gunstones, and that her soul shall stand sore charges to the wasteful vengeance that shall fly with them. For many 1,000 widows will this her mock out their dear husbands, mock mothers from their sons, mock castles down. Some are yet ungotten and unborn that shall have cause to curse this Dauphin's scorn. If this lies all within the will of God, to whom I do appeal, and in whose name? Tell you, the Dauphin, I am coming on. To avenge me as I may, and to put forth my rightful hand in a well-hallowed cause. So get you hence in peace, and tell the Dauphin her jest will savor but of shallow wit, for thousands weep, more than did laugh at it. Convey them with safe conduct. Fare you well.
This was a merry message.
We hope to make this under blushing. Therefore, my lords, omit no happy hour that may give furtherance to our expedition. For we now have no thought in us but France, save those to God that run before our business. Therefore, let our proportions for these wars be soon collected, and all things thought upon that may, with reasonable swiftness, add more feathers to our wings. For God before, we'll chide this Dauphin at her father's door.
France indeed hath thy found out a nest of hollow bosoms which she fills with treacherous crowns, and 3 corrupted men. 1, Earl of Cambridge, and the 2nd Lord Henry Scroop, Lord of Massam, and the 3rd Sir Thomas Grey, Knight of Northumberland. Have for the guilt of France. Oh, guilt indeed. Confirmed conspiracy with fearful France, and by their hand this race of kings must die.
For God, his grace is bold to trust these traitors.
They shall be apprehended by and by.
How smooth and even do they bear themselves, as if allegiance in their bosom sat crowned with faith and constant loyalty.
The king hath note of all they intend, by interception which they dream not of.
Nay, but the man that was his bedfellow, whom he hath dulled and cloyed with gracious favors, that he should for foreign purse so sell his sovereign's life to death and treachery.
Now, since the wind fair and wheel aboard, my lady of Cambridge, my kind lord of Massam, and you, my gentle knight, give me your thoughts. Think you not that the powers we bear with us will cut their passage through the force of France, doing the execution and the act for which we have and had assembled them?
No doubt, my liege, if each man do his best.
I doubt that not, since we are all persuaded we carried on a heart with us from hence that grows not in fair consent with ours, nor leave not one behind that on the risk success in conquest to attend on us.
Never was a monarch better feared and loved than is your majesty. There is not, I think, a subject that sits in heart grief and uneasiness under the sweet shade of your government.
True. Those who are your father's enemies have steeped their gals in honey, and do serve you with hearts great duty and of zeal.
We therefore have great cause of thankfulness, and shall beget the office of our hand sooner than the acquaintance of desert and merit, according to the weight and worthiness.
So service shall with stillness in his toil, and labor shall press us help with hope, to do your grace incessant services.
We judge no less. And to Exeter, enlarge the man committed yesterday that railed against our person. We consider it was an excess of wine that set him on, and on his more advice we pardoned him.
That's mercy, but too much security. Let him be punished, sovereign, less an example, bred by sufferance, and more of such a kind.
Oh, let us yet be merciful.
So may your highness, and yet punish too.
Sir, you show great mercy. You give him life after the taste of much correction.
Alas, your too much love and care of me are heavy orisons against this poor wretch. If little fault proceeding on this temper shall not be winked at, how then shall we stretch our eye when capital crimes, chewed, swallowed, and digested appear before us? We'll yet enlarge that man, though Cambridge, Scroop, and Grey, in their dear care and tender preservation of our person, would have him punished. Now to our French causes. Who are the late commissioners?
I won, my lord. Your highness gave me ask for it today.
So did you me, my liege.
And I, my royal sovereign.
Then, my Earl of Cambridge, here's yours. They're yours, Lord Scroop of Massam, and Sir Knight Grey of Northumberland, the same as yours. Read them. And know. I know your worthiness. My Lord of Westmoreland, and of Exeter, we will aboard tonight. Why, how now, gentlemen? What see you in those papers that you lose so much complexion? Look ye how they change, their cheeks are paper. Why, what read you there that hath so chastened and cowarded your blood out of appearance?
I do confess my fault, and do submit me to your highness' mercy.
To which we all appeal.
The mercy that was making us spent life by your own counsels, pressed and killed. You must not dare for shame to talk of mercy. For your own reasons, turn into your bosoms as dogs upon their masters, worrying you. See you, my princes, my noble peers, these English monsters. My lady of Cambridge here. You know how apt our love was to accord to furnish her with all appurtenance belonging to her honor. Yet this woman hath for a few light crowns lightly conspired and sworn unto the practices of France to kill us here in Hampton. To the which this night, no less for bounty bound to us that Cambridges hath likewise sworn. Oh, what shall I say to thee, Lord Scrooge? Thou cruel, ingrateful, savage, and inhuman creature. Thou didst bear the key of all my counsels, that knewest the very bottom of my soul, that almost might have coined me into gold, was thou practiced on me for thy use. May it be possible that foreign hire might out of thee extract one spark of evil that might annoy my finger. 'Tis so strange that though the truth of it stands off as gross as black and white, my eye will scarcely see it. Treason and murder ever kept together as two yoked devils sworn to either's purpose, working so grossly in a natural cause that admiration did not whoop at them. But thou, it's all proportion. It's bringing wonder to wait on treason and on murder. The vaults are open. Arrest them to the answer of the law and government and other practices.
I arrest thee of high treason, by name of Earl of Cambridge. I arrest thee of high treason, by name of Henry, Lord Scrooge of Massa. I arrest thee of high treason, by name of Thomas Gray, Knight of Northumberland.
Our purposes God hath discovered, and I repent my fault, more than my death, which I beseech your highness to forgive all my body for the price of it.
For me as the gold of France did not seduce. Although I did admit it as a motive, the sooner to effect what I intended. But God be thanked for prevention, which I in sufferance heartily will rejoice, beseeching God, and you pardon me.
Never has faithful subject more rejoiced at discovery of most dangerous treason than I do at the sour joy over myself. Prevent it from a damned enterprise. My fault, but not my body. Pardon, sovereign.
God quit you in his mercy. Hear your sentence. You have conspired against our royal person, joined in with an enemy proclaimed, and from his coffers received the golden earnest of our death. Wherein you would have sold your king to slaughter, his princes and his peers to servitude, his subjects to oppression and contempt, and his whole kingdom into desolation. Touching our person seek we no revenge. For we our kingdom's safety must so tender, whose ruin you have sought, that to our laws we do deliver you. Get you therefore hence, you poor, miserable wretches, to your death. The taste whereof God of his mercy give you patience to endure, and true repentance of all your dear offenses. Bear them hence. Now, my lady. For France. The enterprise whereof shall be to you as us like glorious. We doubt not of a fair and lucky war, since God hath so graciously brought to light this dangerous treason lurking in our way to hinder our beginnings. We doubt not now but every rub is smoothed on our way. And forth, my dear countrymen, let us deliver our croissants into the hand of God, putting it straight in expedition. Cheerly to see the signs of war advance. No king of England, if not king of France.
comes the English with full power upon us. And more than carefully it us concerns to answer warily in our defenses. Therefore, the Dukes of Berry, and of Breton, and of Bourbon, and of Orleans shall make forth. And you, Prince Dauphin, with all swift dispatch to line and new repair our towns of war, with men of courage means defendant. For England, his approaches makes as fierce as the waters to the sucking of a gulf. It fits us then to be as provident as fear may teach us out of late examples left by the fatal and neglected English upon our fields.
My most redoubted father, 'tis most meet we all must against the foe, for peace itself should not so dull a kingdom, as though war nor no known quarrel were in question, but that defenses, musters, and preparations should be maintained, assembled, and collected, as war warrant expectation. Therefore I say 'tis meet we all go forth to view the sick and feeble parts of France, and let us do so with no show of fear. No, with no more than if we heard that England were busy with the Whitsun Morris dance. For my good liege, she so idly keen, her sceptre so fantastically borne, by a vain, giddy, shallow, humorous youth that fear tents her not.
Oh, peace, Prince Dauphin, you are too much mistaken in this king!
Well, 'tis not so, my lord high constable, but though we think it so, 'tis no matter. In cases of defense, 'tis best to weigh the enemy more mighty than he seems, so the proportions of defense are filled, which of a weaker niggardly projection doth like a miser spoil his coat with scanty little cloth.
Think we King Eyre is strong, and Prince is looking strongly on to meet him. The kindred of him hath been fleshed upon us, and he has bred all that bloody strain that has haunted us in our familiar paths. Witness our too much memorable shame, when Cressy battle was fatally struck, and our prince is held captive by the hand of that black name, Edward, Black Prince of Wales. Mangle the work of nature and deface the patterns that by God and by French fathers had 20 years been made. This is the stem of that victorious stock, and let us fear the native mightiness and fate of him.
Ambassadors from Harry, King of England, do crave admittance to your majesty.
We'll give them a present audience. Go, and bring them. You see, this chase is hotly followed, friends.
Turn head and stop pursuit. For coward dogs most bend their mouths when what they seem to threaten runs far before them. Good, my sovereign, take up the English short, and let them know but a monarchy you are the head.
From our brother England?
From him, and thus he greets your majesty. He wills you, in the name of God Almighty, that you divest yourself, and lay apart all borrowed glories that by gift of heaven, by law of nature, and of nations, belong to him and his heirs, namely, the crown, and all wide-stretched honors that pertain by custom and ordinance of times unto the crown of France. That you may notice no sinister nor awkward claim picked from the wormholes of long-vanished days, nor from the dust of old oblivion raked. He sends you this most memorable line, in every branch truly demonstrative. Willing you overlook this pedigree, and when you find him evenly derived from his most famed of famous ancestors, Edward III, he bids you then resign your crown and kingdom, indirectly held from him the native and true challenger.
Or else, what follows?
Bloody constraint. For if you hide the crown from him, even in your hearts, there will he rake for it. Therefore, in fierce tempest is he coming, in thunder and in earthquake. Like a Jove, that if requiring fail, he will compel, and bids you in the bowels of the Lord deliver up the crown, and to take mercy on the poor souls for whom this hungry war opens his vasty jaws. And on your head turning the widow's tears, the orphan's cries, the dead man's blood, the pining maiden's groans, for husbands, fathers, and betrothed lovers that should be swallowed in this controversy. This is his claim, his threatening, and my message, unless the Dauphin be in presence here, to whom I expressly bring greeting to.
For this we shall consider this further. Tomorrow we shall bear our full intent back to our brother England.
For the Dauphin, I stand here for her. What to her from England?
Scorn and defiance, slight regard, contempt, and anything that may not misbecome the mighty sender that you prize you at. Thus as my king, And if your father's highness do not, in grant of all demands a large, sweeten the bitter mock you sent his majesty, he'll call you to so hot an answer of it that caves and woolly vaultages of France shall chide your trespass, and return your mock in second accent of his ordinance.
Saith my father render fair return, it is against my will. For I desire nothing but odds with England. To that end, as matching as his youth and vanity, I did present him with a Paris ball.
Who'll make your parents do shame for it! Worth the mistress court of my dear! And be assured you'll find a difference as we his subjects have in wonder found, between the promise of his greener days and these he masters now. Now he wants time even to the utmost grave, that you shall read in your own losses if you stay in France.
Tomorrow you shall know our mind at full!
Dispatch with all speed, lest that our king come here himself to question our delay, for he is splitted in this land already.
You will soon be dispatched with fair conditions. A knight is but small breath and little powers to enter matters of this consequence.
We nurse 15 flies, motion of no less clarity than that of thought. Suppose that you have seen the well-appointed king at Hampton Pier embark his royalty and his brave fleet. Work your thoughts, and therein see a siege. Behold the ordnance on the carriages, the fatal gaping mouths on girded park floor. Suppose the ambassador from the French comes back, he'll hear that the king doth offer him Catherine his daughter, and with him the dowry some petty and unprofitable dukedoms. The offer likes not, and the nimble gun of flintstock now the devilish cannon touches. Stand us all before them, still be kind, and eke out our performance with your mind.
Once more to the breach of France, once more! A close wall of blaring the stand! Peace! As with someone comes a man is modest stillness and humility. When the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the actions of a tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage, then lend the eye a terrible aspect. And in pride, the corners of the head are sort of brass cannon. Let the brow or well and as fearfully as stroke the galled rock, or hang and juddy his confounded base, swilled with this wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide, hold hard the breath, and bend upon every spirit to its full height. On! On, you noblest English, whose blood is spent from fathers of war proof! Fathers, that like so many Alexanders have in these parts from morn till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers! Now attest that those whom you call fathers should beget you, becoming out of men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeomen, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not! For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble luster in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot! Follow your spirit and upon this charge! Cry God for Harry! England and St. George! England! St. George!
Were I in an alehouse in London, I would give all my fame for Pottervale's safety.
And I, if wishes would prevail with me, my purpose should not fail with me, but thither would I hie.
Truly, but not as truly, as per Dawson on board.
To the breach, you dogs! Avaunt, you
telling you.
Be merciful, Great Duke, to men and mold. Abate thy rage, abate thy manly rage, abate thy rage, Great Duke. Good boss talk, abate thy rage. Use lenity, sweet shot. These humors be good humors. Your honor with bad humor.
Llewellyn, you must come presently to the mines. The Duke of Gloucester would speak with you.
To the mines? Tell you the Duke it is not so good to come to the mines. For look you, the mines is not according to the disciplines of the war. The concavity is not sufficient. For look you, thy adversary, may discuss unto the Duke, has dumped himself 4 yards under the countermines. By Jesu, think they'll plow a ball, there's not better direction for it.
The Duke of Gloucester, to whom the order of the siege is given, is altogether directed by an Irishman. A very valiant gentleman, I faith.
It's Captain MacMorris, is it not?
I think it be.
Oh, by Jesu. He's an ass in the world. I'll verify by much in his beard, be he has no more direction in the true disciplines of the war, mark you, of the Roman disciplines, than as a puppy dog.
The town sounds a parley.
Captain Gower, there's more better opportunity to be required. I'll be so bold as to tell you I know the disciplines of the war.
How yet resolves the governor of the town? This is the latest parle we will admit. Therefore, to our best mercy give yourselves. Elect men proud of destruction, defy us to our worst. For as I am a soldier, a name that in my thoughts becomes me best if I begin the battery once again, I will not leave this half-achieved Harfleur, till in her ashes she lie buried. The gates of mercy shall be all shut up. And the fleshed soldier, rough and hard apart in the liberty of bloody hand shall reign, with conscience white as hell. Growing like grass, your fresh fair virgins and your flowering infants. Therefore, you men of Harfleur, take pity of your town and of your people, whilst yet my soldiers are in my command. Whilst yet the cool and temperate wind of grace blows the filthy and contagious cloud of petty murder, spoil and villainy. If now I in a moment look to see the blind and bloody soldier with foul hand defile the locks of your shrill, shrieking daughters, your fathers, taken by their silver beards and their most reverend heads, dash into the walls. Your naked infants, spit upon pikes, whilst the mad mothers with our howls confused to break the clouds, as to the wives of Jewry and Herod's blood-handing slaughtermen. What say you? Will you yield in this avoid, or guilty in defense be thus destroyed?
Our expectation hath this day an end. The Dauphin, whom we have entreated, returns us that her powers are not yet ready to raise so great a siege. Therefore, great king, we yield our town and our lives to thy soft mercy. Enter our gates, dispose of us in Oz, for we no longer are defensible.
Open your gates.
Come on, Exeter. Go you and enter our floor, there remain. Fortified strongly against the French, and use kindness to them all. For us, dear aunt, the winter coming on and sickness going on our soldiers, we will retire to Calais. Tonight in our floor, we are your guest. Tomorrow for the march are we addressed.
And if you be not fought with all my lord, let us not live in France. Let us quit all and give our vineyards to a barbarous people.
Aldiribon shall a few sprays at us, the emptying of our father's luxury. Our scions put in wild and savage stock, speared up so suddenly into the clouds and overlooked their grafters.
Normans. The bastard Normans.
Norman bastards! Montemavie! If they march along unfought withal, but I will sell my dukedom and buy a slobbery and a dirty farmland nook shot in Isle of Albion.
Duty, Batial! Where have they this metal? Is not their climate foggy, raw, and dull? On whom, as in the spite, the sun looks pale, killing their fruit with frowns? Can salt and water, a drench for Sir Ray Jade, their barley broth, decoct the cold blood of the valiant heat? And shall our quick blood, spirited with wine, seem frosty? Oh, for honor of our land, let us not hang like roping icicles upon our houses' thatch, while some more frosty people sweat drops of gallant youth on our rich fields. Poor we may call them in their native lords.
By faith and honor, our madams mock at us and plainly say that our metal is bred out, and that they will give their bodies to the lust of English youth to use their France with bastard warriors.
They bid us English dancing schools and teach us Levant's high and swift contours, saying that our grace is only in our heels and that we are very lofty runaways.
Where's Montreux the herald spearheads? And let her greet England with our sharp defiances. Up, princes! And with your spirit of honor edge more sharper than your swords high to the field. Charles Delabreth, High Constable of France, you Dukes of Orleans, Bourbon, Burgundy, Berry, Breton, and of Vermbrew. High Dukes, great princes, barons, lords, and knights, for your great seats quit you of your great shames. Bar harry England that sweeps across our land with pennants painted in the blood of Harcourt. Rush on his hosts, as doth the melted snow upon the fields, whose low vassal seat the Alps doth spit and void his room upon. Go down upon him, you have power enough, and in a captive chariot to ruin, bring him our prisoner.
This becomes the great. Sorry I am, for his numbers are so few, his soldiers sick and famished in their march. For I am sure when ye shall see our army, he'll drop his heart into the sink of fear, and for achievement, offer us his ransom.
Therefore, Lord Constable, haste on Montjoy, and let us say to England that we sent to know what willing ransom he will give. Prince Dauphin, you shall stay with us in ruin.
Not so, I do beseech your majesty.
Be patient, for you shall remain with us. Now forth, Lord Constable and princes all, and quickly bring us word of England's fall.
I assure you there's most excellent disciplines being committed at the bridge.
What's the Duchess of Exeter say?
The Duchess of Exeter is a woman that I love and honor with my heart, my soul, my life, and my living, my uttermost power. She has not, God be praised and blessed, any hurt in the world, but holds the bridge most valiantly, with excellent discipline. There's an aged lieutenant there at the bridge, and my very conscience, a valiant a man as Mark Antony, and a woman of no estimation in the world, but did see her do us gallant service.
And what do you call her?
Her name is Ancient Pistol.
I know her not.
Here's the woman.
Captain, I thee beseech you do me favors. The Duchess of Exeter doth love thee well.
I praise God and have merited some love at her hands.
Bardolph, a soldier firm and sound of heart and of buxom valor, hath, by cruel fate and giddy fortune's furious fickle wheel, that God is blind that stands upon the rolling restless
By
storm.
your patience, Ancient Pistol. Fortune is painted blind, with a muffler for her eyes, to signify to you that fortune is blind. She's painted also with a wheel, to signify to you which is the moral of it that she is turning, an inconstant mutability and variation. And her foot, look you, is fixed upon a spherical stone, which rolls and rolls and rolls. Good truth. The poet makes a most excellent description of it. Fortune is an excellent morale.
Fortune is Bardolph's foe and frowns on her, for she hath stolen the packs and to hang must to be. A damn death, like gallows, gate for dog, let man go free. Let not hem her windpipe suffocate. But Exeter hath given the doom of death, for packs of little price. Therefore, go speak. The Duchess will hear thy voice. Let not Bardolph's vital thread be cut with edge of penny cord and vile reproach. Speak, Captain, for her life, and it will be requite.
Ancient Pistol, I do partly understand your meaning.
Why then rejoice, therefore?
There's not a thing to rejoice at! For look you, if she were my own brother, I would desire the Duchess to use her good service and put her to execution. For discipline ought to be used.
Die, you damned be go for thy
It is
friend.
well!
Nothing is fair.
Very good!
Why, this is an arrant, counterfeit rascal. I remember her now, a bawd, a cutpurse.
I assure you, uttered as brave words at the bridge as you shall see in a summer's day. But what she has spoke to me, that as well. I warrant you when time is served.
Why, 'tis a fool, a rogue, that goes to the wars now and then to grace herself at her return unto London, under the form of a soldier.
Tell you what, Captain Yarrow, I do perceive that she is not the woman that she would gladly make show in the world. If I find a hole in her coat, I shall tell her my mind. The king is coming, and I must speak with him from the bridge. God bless your majesty.
Enough, love. Camest down from the bridge.
So please your majesty. The Duchess of Exeter has most gallantly maintained the bridge. The French has gone off. Look you, and there's a gallant most brave passage. Mary, thy adversary would have possession of the bridge, but he is enforced to retire. And the Duchess is master of the bridge. I can tell your majesty, the Duchess is a brave woman.
What men have you lost?
Thy perdition of thy adversary hath been great, reasonably great. Mary, for my part, I think the Duchess has lost never a man. Except one that is like to be executed for robbing a church. One Bardolph, if your majesty know the woman. Her face is all gimicles and whelps and nods and flame on fire, and her lips blow at our nose, and it's like a core of fire, sometimes blue and sometimes red. But her nose is executed and her fire is out.
We would have all such offenders so cut off. And we give express charge that through our marches through the country there be nothing compelled from the villages, nothing taken but paid for, none of the French upbraided or abused in disdainful language. For when lenity and cruelty play for a kingdom, the gentlest gamester is the soonest winner.
You know me by my habit.
Well, then I know thee. What shall I know of thee?
My master's mine.
Unfold it.
Thus says my king, say thou to Harry of England, though we seem dead we did but sleep. Advantage is a better soldier than rashness. Tell him we could have rebuked him at Harfleur, but that we thought not good to bruise an injury till it were full ripe. Now we speak upon our cue and our voice is imperial. England shall repent his folly, see his weakness, and admire our sufferance. Bid him therefore consider of his ransom, which must proportion the losses we have borne. the subjects we have lost, the disgrace we have digested, which in wait to re-answer his pettiness would bow under. For our losses, his exchequer is too poor. For the effusion of our blood, the muster of his kingdom too faint in number. And for our disgrace, his own person kneeling at our feet, but a weak and worthless satisfaction. To this add defiance, and tell him, for conclusion, he hath betrayed his followers whose condemnation is pronounced. So far my king and master, so much my office.
What is thy name? I know thy quality.
Montjoy.
Thou dost thy office fairly. Turn thee back. Tell thy master I do not seek him now, but can be willing to march on to Calais without impeachment. For to say the sooth, though it is no wisdom to confess so much unto an enemy of craft and advantage, my army is with sickness much enfeebled. My numbers lessened, and those few I have almost numbered than so many French. When they were in health, I tell thee truly, Harold, I thought upon one pair of English legs it marks 3 Frenchmen. Yet, forgive me, God, that I do brag thus. This your heir of France hath blown that vice in me. I must repent. Go, therefore! Tell thy master, here I am. My ransom but a frail and worthless trunk, my army but a weak and sickly guard. Yet God before. Tell him we will come on, though France himself and such another neighbor stand in our way. There's for thy labor, Montjoy. Go bid thy master will advise himself. If we may pass, we will. If we be hindered, we shall your tawny ground with your red blood discolor. And so, Montjoy, fare you well. The sum of all our answer is but this: we would not seek a battle as we are, nor as we are. We say we will not shut it. So tell your master.
I shall deliver so, thanks to your highness.
I hope they will not come upon us now. We're in God's hand now, brother, not in theirs. Go. March to the river. It now draws toward night. Beyond the bridge, we'll encamp ourselves, and on tomorrow, we'll bid them march away.
Armor of the world. What a word day.
You have excellent armor. Let my horse have his due.
It is the best horse of Europe.
My lord of Orleans and my lord high constable. You talk of horse and armor?
You are as well provided of both as any prince in the world.
What a long night is this. I will not trade my horse with any that treads but on 4 pasterns. He bounds from the earth as if his entrails were hairs. When I bestride him, I soar. I am a hawk. He trots the air. The earth sings when he touches it. The base horn of his hoof is more musical than the pipe of Hermes.
He's the color of nutmeg.
And of the heat of the ginger. It is a piece for Percy. It is a beast for Perseus. He's pure air and fire, and the dull elements of earth and water never appear in him, but only in patient stillness while his rider mounts him. He's indeed a horse, and all their jades you may call beasts.
Indeed, my lord, it is a most absolute and excellent horse.
It is the prince of palfreys. His neigh is like the bidding of a monarch, and his countess enforces homage.
No more, cousin.
Nay, the man hath no wit that cannot, from the rising of the lark to the lodging of the lamb, very deserve praise on my palfrey. It is a theme as fluent as the sea, turns sands into eloquent tongues, and my horse's argument for them all. 'Tis a subject for a sovereign to reason on, and for a sovereign to ride on, and for the world, familiar and unknown, to lay apart their particular functions and wonder at him. I once heard a sonnet that begun thus. Wonder of nature.
I've heard a sonnet begin so to one's mistress.
Then did they imitate that which I composed to my courser, for my horse is my mistress.
Nay, for me thought yesterday yesterday, your mistress shrewdly shook your back.
So perhaps did yours.
Mine was not brittled.
Oh, then belike she was old and gentle, and you rode like a curd of Ireland, with your French hose off and in your straight trousers.
You have a good judgment in horsemanship.
Be word by me then. They that ride so and ride not warily fall to foul bogs. I'd rather my horse and my mistress.
I had as lief had my mistress a jade.
I tell thee, constable, my mistress wears his own hair.
And yet do I not use my horse for my mistress, or any such proverb so little kin to the purpose.
My lord, my constable, the armor that I saw in your tent last night, were those stars or suns upon it?
Stars, my lord.
Some of them will fall tomorrow, I hope.
And yet my sky shall not what?
That may be, for you bear many suffloriously toward more honor somewhere away.
Even as your horse bears your praises, who would trot as well, were some of your brags dismounted.
When I were able to load him with his desert, will it never be day? I will trout tomorrow mile, my way shall be paved by English faces.
I will not say, for fear I should be faced out of my way. But I would it were day, for I would fain be about the ears of the English.
Who will go to hazard with me for 20
You
prisoners?
must first go yourself to hazard, or you have them.
'Tis midnight. I'll go arm myself.
The Dauphin longs for morning.
She longs to eat the English.
I think she will eat all she kills.
My Lord High Constable, the English lie within 1,500 paces of your tents.
Who hath measured the ground?
The Lord Grand Prix.
A valiant and most expert gentleman. What a word day! Alas, poor Harry of England. He longs not for the dawning as we do.
What a wretched and peevish fellow is this King of England to mope with his fat-brained followers so far out of his knowledge.
If the English had any apprehension, they would run away.
That they lack, for if their heads had any intellectual armor, they could never wear such heavy headpieces.
That island of England breeds very valiant creatures. Their mastiffs are of unmatchable courage.
Foolish curs that run winking into the mouth of a Russian bear and have their heads crushed like rotten apples. You may as well say that's a valiant flea that dare eat his breakfast on the lip of a lion.
Just! The men do sympathize with the mastiffs and robustious and rough coming on, leaving their wits with their wives, and then give them great meals of beef in iron and steel. They will eat like wolves and fight like devils.
Aye, but these English are shrewdly out of beef.
Then shall we fight tomorrow? They have stomach to eat and none to fight. Now's the time to arm ourselves. Come! Shall we about it?
It is now 2 o'clock, but let me see. By 10, we shall have each 100 Englishmen.
Now entertain conjecture of a time when creeping murmur and the pouring dark fills the wide vessel of the universe. From camp to camp, through the foul moon night, the hum of either army stilly sounds, that the fixed sentinels almost receive the secret whispers of each other's watch. Fire answers fire, and in their paling flames each battle sees the other's umbered face. Steed threatens steed in high boastful names, piercing night's dull ear. From the tents the armorers accomplishing the nights, with busy hammers closing rivets up, give dreadful note of preparation. The country cocks do crow. The clocks do toll in third hour of drowsy morning name. Proud of their number and secure and sold, confident and overlusty French do the low-rated English play at dice, and chide the tardy cripple-gated knight, who like a foul and ugly witch doth limp so tediously away. The poor condemned English, like sacrifices by the watchful fires, sit patiently and inly ruminate the morning's danger. And their gestures sad, vesting lengthening cheeks in war-worn coats, presented them onto the gazing moon so many horrid ghosts. Oh now, who will behold the royal captain of this ruined band, walking from watch to watch, from tent to tent? Let him cry praise and glory on his head. For forth he goes and visits all his hosts, bids them good morrow with a modest smile, calls them brothers, friends, and countrymen. Upon his royal face there is no note how dread an army hath enrounded him, nor doth he dedicate one jot of color unto the weary and all-watched night, but freshly looks, and overbears his paint with cheerful semblance and sweet majesty, that every wretch pining and pale before beholding him plucks comfort from his looks. The largest universe like the sun, his little eye doth give to everyone thawing cold fear, his man worthiness to find a little touch of Harry in the night. And so, our scene must to the battle fly where, oh, for pity, we shall much disgrace with 4 or 5 most ragged foils, the name of the Agincourt. Yet sit and see, minding 2 things by what their mockeries speak.
Praise God, this hour of sorrow shall bring a brighter morrow. I go to paradise, my mother dear and father, when round my grave you gather, lay me to rest with songs of praise. Farewell, I now must leave you. The grief this day doth give you. Soon others too shall bear. Be ye to God commended. In him no woe is ended.
And we shall meet in glory there.
Whilst it is true that we are in great danger, the greater therefore should our courage be. Tomorrow, Brother Bedford, God Almighty, there is some soul of goodness in things evil. For our bad neighbors make us early stirs, which is both healthful and good husbandry. Besides, they are our outward preachers, admonishing to us all that we should dress us fairly for our end. Thus may we gather honey from the weed and make a moral of the devil himself. Tomorrow, old Dame Irvingham, a good soft pillow for that good red head were better than the churlish turf of France.
Not so, my liege. This lodging likes me better, since I may say now lie like a king.
It is good for men to love their pressing pains upon example. So is the spirit eased. When the mind is quickened out of doubt, the organs, though defunct and dead before, break up their drowsy grave and newly move, with casted slough, fresh like Jeremy. Lend me thy cloak. Brothers both, commend me to the princes in my camp. Do my good morrow to them, and anon, desire them unto my pavilion.
We shall, my liege.
Shall I attend your grace?
No, my good knight. I and my bosom must abate a while, and then I would no other company.
The Lord in heaven bless thee, noble Harry.
God have mercy upon. Thou speakest cheerfully.
Who goes there?
A friend!
Discuss unto me. Art thou officer? Art thou base, common and popular?
I am a gentleman of the company.
Trailest thou the puissant pike?
Even so. What are you?
As good a gentleman as the emperor.
Then you are better than the king?
The king is a bogcock, a heart of gold, a lad of life, an imp of fame, a parent's good and fist most valiant. I kiss his dirty shoeing from heartstring. I love the lovely bully. What is thy name?
Ariel Roy.
Roy. Cornish name. Art thou of Cornish crew?
No, I am Welsh.
Knowest thou Llewellyn?
Yes.
Tell him I will knock his leak about his pate, upon St. David's day.
Not while you're dagger in your cap that day, lest you knock that about yours.
Thou his friend.
And his kinsman too.
Let me go for thee.
I thank thee. God be with you.
The name's Pistol called.
So it's well with your fierceness.
Captain Llewellyn!
David Jesuit Christ, speak lower.
The enemy is loud, you hear him all night.
The enemy is an ass and a fool and a prating coxcomb. Is it not, think you, that we should also look you be an ass and a fool and a prating coxcomb? You're conscious now?
I will speak lower.
I pray and beseech that you will.
Though it appear a little out of fashion, there is much care and valor in this Welshman.
Sister Bates, is not the morning which breaks yonder?
I think it be, but we have no great cause to desire the approach of day.
We see only the beginning of the day, but I don't think we'll see the end of it. Who goes there?
Friend.
Under what captain serve you?
Under Dame Erpingham.
Kind gentleman, and a good old commander. Pray you, what thinks he of our state?
Even as men wrecked upon a sand and look to be washed off with the next tide.
She hath not told her thought to the king.
No, nor is it meet she should. For though I speak it to you, I think the king is but a man as I am. The violet smells to him as it doth to me, the element shows to him as it doth to me. His senses have but human conditions. In his nakedness, he appears but a man, and though his affections are higher mounted than ours are, yet when they stoop with the like wing. Therefore, when he sees reasons of fears, his fears, out of doubt, be of the same relish as ours are. Yet in that reason, no man should possess him with any semblance of fear, lest he, by showing it, dishearten the army.
He may show what outward courage he will, but I believe, as cold a night as 'tis, he could wish himself in Thames, up to the neck, and I would he were, and die by him, at all adventure, so we were quit here.
By my troth, I will speak my conscience to the king. I do not think he wish himself anywhere but where he is.
Then I would he were here alone. Then should he be sure to be ransomed, and a many poor men's lives saved.
I dare say you love him not so little, wish him here alone. Howsoever you speak this to feel other men's minds. Methinks I could not die anywhere so contented as in the king's company, his cause being just and his quarrel being honorable.
That's more than we know.
Aye, or more than we should seek after. For we know enough if we are the king's subjects. If his cause be wrong, then our obedience to the king wipes the crime of it out of us.
And if the cause be not good, the king hath a heavy reckoning to make. When all those arms and legs and heads, chopped off in battle, come together and cry all, we died at such a place. Some swearing, some crying for a surgeon, some upon the decio, and some upon the children left behind. For I'm afraid there are few die well that die in a battle. For how can they try to dispose of anything when blood is their argument? And for the king is sent unto it with black matter, whom to disobey were against all proportion of subjection.
So if a son that is by his father sent upon merchandise do sinfully miscarry on the sea, the imputations of his wickedness by your rule should be imposed upon the father. Or if a servant under his master's command transporting a sum of money assailed by robbers and dying many irreconciled iniquities, you may call the business of the master the author of the servant's damnation. This is not so. The king is not bound to answer the particular endings of his soldiers, the father of his son, or the master of his servant, for they propose not their deaths, and they propose their services.
'Tis certain that each man that die ill, the ill upon his own head, the king is not to answer it.
I do not desire he should answer for me, and yet I determined to fight lustily for him.
I myself heard the king say he would not be ransomed.
He said so, to make us fight cheerfully. But when our throats are cut, he may be ransomed, and we're never the wiser.
If I live to see that, I will trust his word after.
You pan then. 'Tis a peddler shot out of an elder gun that a poor and private displeasure can do against a monarch. You may as well coin to turn the sun to ice, fanning his face a peacock's feather. You'll never trust his word after. Come, 'tis a foolish saying.
Your proof is something too round. I should be angry with you were time convenient.
Let it be a quarrel between us.
I embrace it.
How will I know thee again?
Give me the gauge of thine, and I'll wear it in my bonnet.
Here is my glove. Give me another of thine.
There.
This too I'll wear in my hat. And if after tomorrow you come to me and say, "This is my glove," I will take thee a box on the ear.
If I live to see it, I will embrace it.
Thou darest be hanged.
But I will do it though I perceive thee in the king's company.
Keep thy word. Fare thee well.
Be friends, you English fools, be friends. We're French quarrels enough, if you can tell how to reckon.
It is true the Frenchmen lay 20 crowns to one that they will beat us, for they bear them on their shoulders. But it is no English treason to cut French crowns, and tomorrow the king himself will be the clipper. Upon the king. Let us, our lives, our souls, our debts, our careful wives, our children, and our sins lay on the king. We must bear all. No hard condition. Twin born with greatness, subject to the breath of every fool whose sense can no more feel but his own ringing.
My liege, your nobles, jealous of your absence, seek through your camp to find you.
Good old knight. Collect them all together in my tent. I'll be before thee.
I shall do it.
O God of battles, steel my soldiers' hearts. Possess them not with fear. Take from them now their sense of reckoning if the opposed numbers pluck their hearts from them. Not day, O Lord. Not Been down upon the fall my father made, encompassing the crown. I, Richard's body, have interred anew, and upon it have bestowed more contrite tears than from it issue 4 drops of blood. 500 poor I have in yearly pay, who twice a day there were them hands hold up toward heaven departed blood. 2 chantries I have filled, where the sad and solemn priest sings still to Richard's soul. More will I do. More will I do.
though all that I can do is nothing worth, since that my penitence comes after all imploring pardon.
My liege. My brother Gloucester's voice. I know that. I will go with thee. The day, my friends, and all things stay for me.
And yield. They said their prayers, and they stay for death.
Shall we send them dinners and fresh soups, and give their fasting horses provender and after fight with them?
I stand up for my guard. Onto the field. I will the banner from a trumpet take and use it for my haste. Come away. The sun is high, and we outwear the day.
Where's the king? The king himself is rode to view their battle. Of fighting men they have full 70,000.
There's 5 to 1. Besides, they all are fresh.
God's arm strike with us. 'Tis a fearful hour. God be with you, princes all to my charge. And if we no more meet, till we meet again in heaven, then joyfully, my noble Lord of Bedford, my dear Lord Gloucester, and my good Lady Exeter, and my kind kinsmen, warriors all, adieu.
Farewell, good Salisbury, and good luck go with thee.
Farewell, kite lord. Fight valiantly today. And yet I do thee wrong to mind thee of it, for thou art framed in the firm truth of valor.
He is full of valor, as of kindness, princely in both.
That we now adhere but 1/10,000 of those men in England that do not work today.
What's he that wishes so? My cousin Westmoreland. No, my fair cousin. We are marked to die. We are announced to do our country loss. And if to live? The fewer men, the greatest share of honor. God's will I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous of gold, nor care I nor feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear, such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I'm the most offending soul alive. No faith, my cousin, wish not a man from England. God's peace I would not lose so great an honor as one man more, methinks, would share from me, for the best hope I have. Do not wish a man. Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he that hath no stomach to despite, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We would not die in that man's company. It fears his fellowship to die with us. called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand at tiptoe when this day is named and rouse in the name of Crispian. He that shall see this day and live old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow is Saint Crispian. And he will strip his sleeves and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on Crispian's day. Will men forget, it all shall be forgotten. He'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. And shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their floating cups, freshly remembered. This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispin Crispiana shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world. But we in it shall be remembered. We, few. We happy few. We band of brothers, for he that sheds his blood with me today shall be my brother, be he ne'er so vile. This day shall gentle his condition. And those gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed that we're not here, and all their manners cheap, while else any stinks abide with us upon St. Crispin's Day!
My servant lord, be sorry yourself with speed. French are brilliant and about several dog expedient charge on us.
All things are already up our minds be so.
There's the man whose mind is backward now.
Ah, does the man which fell from England, Gus?
God's will, my liege. Would you and I, without more help, fight this royal battle?
Now thou hast enriched 5,000 men, which likes me better than wish us one. You know your places. God be with you all.
Once more come to know thee, King Harry. Before thy ransom thou wilt now compound before thy most assured overthrow. For certainly thou art so near the gulf thou needs must be glutted. Besides, in mercy, the constable desires thee thou wilt mind thy followers of repentance, that their souls may make a peaceful and sweet retire from off these fields, where wretches their poor bodies must lie infested.
Who hath sent thee now?
The constable of France.
I pray thee. Bear my former answer back. Bid them achieve me and sell my bones. God, why do they mock poor fellows thus? Herald, save thou thy labor.
Come no more for ransom, gentle herald, for they shall have not, I swear, but these my joints.
Which if they have them, as I will leave them,
Shall yield them little.
So tell the constable.
I shall, King Harry, so fare thee well. Thou never shalt hear herald any more.
I fear thou once more come again for ransom.
My lord, on my knee, I beg the link of the ballwood.
Take it, brave York. Now, soldiers, march away! And if it pleaseth God, dispose the day.
Reproach and everlasting shame sit locked in our plumes. O merchant fortune, do not run away!
but shame! Let us die in honor! Once more and back again, and he who will not follow vermin now, let him go hence, and with his cap in hand like a base pander, hold the chamber door, whilst by a slave, no gentler than my donkey's fairest daughter is contaminated!
Disorder that has spoiled us! Friend us now! Let us on heaps go offer up our lives!
We are in now, yet living in the field to smother up the English in our throng, if any order might be thought upon.
The devil take order now! All to throng! Let life be short, else shame be too long.
Well done, prize man and countrymen. When all's not yet done, get keep the French in the field.
The Duke of York commends him to your majesty.
Did you see that? Bryce and Nassau, I saw him down. Bryce up again in fighting. From helmet to spur, bloody he was.
In which array a brave soldier doth he lie. Larding the plain and by his bloody side, York fellow to his honor owing wounds the noble Earl of Suffolk also lies. Suffolk first died and York all haggled over comes to him where in gore he lay and steeped. Takes him by the beard, kisses the gashes which bloodily did spawn upon his face and cries aloud, Tarry, dear cousin Suffolk. My soul shall keep thine company to heaven. Tarry, sweet soul, for mine, and fly abreast as in this glorious and well fought in the field we kept together in our chivalry. Upon these words I came and cheered him up. He smiled me in the face, brought me his hand, and with feeble grip said, Dear my lady, commend my service to me, sovereign. So did he turn and over Suffolk's neck throw his wounded arm and kissed his lips, and so espoused in death with blood he sealed a testament to noble ending love. The pretty and sweet manner of it forced those waters from me in which I would have stopped. But I had not so much man in me, until my mother came into mine eyes and gave me up to tears.
I blame you not. For hearing this, I must perforce compound with misful eyes, lest they will issue too. But hark! What new alarm is this? The French have reinforced their scatter of men. Let every soldier kill his prisoners. Send the word through.
Kill the poison luggage! 'Tis expressly against the law of arms! 'Tis the most arrant piece of knavery as can be out for it! And your conscience is it not?
Sir, there's not a boy left alive! And the cowardly rascals that have ran from this battle have done this slaughter. Besides, they have burned and carried away all that was in the king's tent. Therefore the king most worthily told every soldier to cut his prisoner's throat. Oh, 'tis a gallant king.
I was not angry since I came to France until this instant! Hold! Take a trumpet. Ride to the horsemen on yon hill. Bid them come down, avoid the field, and to offend our sight. If they'll do nothing, we'll come to them and make them scurry away, as swift as stones enforced from all the Syrian slings. Besides, we'll cut the throats of those we have, and on the man we shall take shall taste our mercy. Go tell them so.
Here comes the herald of the French, my liege.
Her eyes are humbler than they used to be.
How now?
What means this, herald? Dost thou not know I find these bones of mine for ransom? Comest thou again for ransom?
No, great king. I come to thee for charitable license, that we may wander o'er this bloody field to look our dead, and then to bury them, to sort our nobles from our common men. For many of our princes, woe the while, lie drowned and soaked in mercenary blood. So do our vulgar drench their peasant limbs in blood of princes, and their wounded steeds fetlock deep in gore, and with wild rage jerk out their armed heels at their dead masters, killing them twice. Give us leave, great king, to view the field in safety and dispose of their dead bodies.
I tell thee truly, herald. I know not if the day be ours or no, for many your horsemen peer and gallop o'er the field.
The day is yours.
Praise be to God, not our strength for it. What is this castle called that stands hard by?
They call it Agincourt.
And call we this the field of Agincourt? Fought on the day of Crispin Crispianus.
Grandfather of famous memory, and please your majesty, your uncle, Edward, the Black Prince of Wales, fought a most brave battle here in France.
They did, Llewellyn.
Your majesty speaks very true. If your majesty is remembered of it, the Welshmen did good service in a garden where leeks did grow, wearing leeks in their Monmouth caps. To this hour, your majesty knows, is an honorable badge of the service. I do believe your majesty takes no scorn to wear the leek upon St. David's Day.
I wear it for a memorable honor. For I am Welsh, you know my countrymen.
All the water and wine cannot wash your majesty's Welsh blood out of your body. I can tell you that. God bless and preserve it, so long as it pleases his grace and his majesty too.
Thanks, good my countrymen.
By Jesu, I am your majesty's countryman. I will confess it to all the world. I cannot be ashamed of it. I need not be ashamed of your majesty, praise be God. So long as your majesty is an honest man.
God keep me so. Of the English dead.
Here's the number of the slaughtered French.
The prisoners of good sort are taken at
Charles, Duke of Orleans, nephew to the king. John, Duke of Bourbon, and Lord Boucicaut. Of the lords and barons, knights and squires, full 1,500, besides common men.
this note doth tell me of 10,000 French that lie slain in this field. Of princes, this number, and nobles bearing banners, there lie 126. Of knights, esquires, and gallant gentlemen, 8,400. 500 of which were but yesterday dubbed knights. So that in these 10,000 they have lost, there are but 1,600 mercenaries. The rest are princes, nobles, knights, esquires, and gentlemen of blood and quality. It was a royal fellowship of death. The English dead. Edward the Duke of York, the Earl of Suffolk, Sir Richard Kitely, Davy Gam, Esquire, and none else of name. but of all others but 25. God, thy arm was here. A twin alone ascribe we all. And without stratagem, but in plain shock and even play of battle was there ever known so great and little loss on one part and on the other. Take it, God, for it is none but thine.
'Tis wonderful.
Come go we in procession to the village, and let it be death proclaimed through my host to boast of this, or to take the place from God which is his only.
Vouchsafe to those who have not read the story, that I may prompt them, and of such as have, I humbly pray them to admit the excuse of time, of numbers, and due course of things which cannot in their huge and proper life be here presented. Now we bear the king toward Calais. Grant him there. There seen, heave him away upon your thoughts athwart the sea. Behold the English beach, pales in the flood with men and wives and boys whose shouts and claps outvoice the deep-mouthed sea, which like a mighty whistler for the king seems to prepare his way. So let him land, and solemnly see him set on to London, where that his lords have desired him to have borne his bruised helmet and bended sword before him through the city. He forbids it, being free from vainness and self-glorious pride, giving full trophy signal and estate, right from himself to God. Now behold in the quick forge and working house of thought, how London doth pour out her citizens. How many more would the peaceful city quit to greet him? Much more cause did they this harry. Now in London place him. As yet the lamentation of the French invites the King of England stay at home. The Emperor is coming on behalf of France to order peace between them, and omit all the occurrences, whatever chance, till Harry's back return again to France. There must we bring him. And myself having played the interim by remembering you 'tis past, then brook abridgment and let your eyes advance, straight back again to France.
Peace to this meeting, wherefore we are met. To our brother France, and to our sister. Health and fair time of day, joy and good wishes. To our most fair and princely cousin Catherine. And as a branch and member of this royalty, by whom this great assembly is contrived, we do salute you, constable. And princes French and peers, health to you all.
Right joyous are we to behold your face, most worthy brother England, fairly met. And so are you, princes English, every one.
So happy be the issue, brother England, of this good day and of this gracious meeting, as we are now glad to behold your eyes which hitherto have borne them against the French, who have met them in their bent, the fatal balls of murdering basilisks, the venom of such looks, we fairly hope, have lost their quality, and that this day shall change all griefs and quarrels into love.
To cry amen to that, thus we appear.
You English princes all, I do salute you.
My duty to you both, on equal love, great kings of France and England, that I have labored with all my wits, my pains, and strong endeavors to bring your most imperial majesties unto this bar and royal interview. Your mightiness on both parts best can witness, since then my office hath so far prevailed, that face to face and royal eye to eye you have congregated. Let it not disgrace me if I demand before this royal view what rub or what impediment there is, why that the naked poor and mangled peace, dear nurse of arts, plenties, and joyful births, should not, in this best garden of the world, our fertile France, put up her lovely visage. Alas, she hath from France too long been chased, and all her husbandries doth lie on heaps, corrupting in its own fertility.
If, Constable, you would the peace, whose want gives growth to the perfections which you have cited, ye must first buy that peace with full accord to all our just demands, whose tenors and particular effects you have scheduled in your hands.
The king hath heard them, to the which as yet there is no answer made.
Well, then the peace, which you before so urged, lies in his answer.
I have but a cursory eye or glance the articles. To please with your grace, I will appoint some of your council presently to sit with us once more with better heed. We will suddenly pass and accept our peremptory answer.
Brother, we shall. Go ahead of Exeter, and you, Brother Gloucester, Warwick, and all, go with the king. Yet leave our cousin Catherine here with us. She is our capital demand, comprised within the full rank of our articles. Fair Catherine, and most fair, will you vouchsafe to teach a soldier terms such as will enter the lady's ear, pleading his love suit to her gentle heart?
Your Majesty shall mock me. I cannot speak your England.
Okay, if you love me soundly with your French heart, I would be glad to hear you confess it brokenly with your English tongue. Do you like me, Kate?
Pardonnez-moi, I cannot tell, but is like me.
Angel is like you, and you are like an angel.
Qu'as-tu? Je suis semblante?
Oui, vraiment. So votre grâce en dit-il.
I said so, dear Catherine, and I must not blush to affirm it.
Oh bon Dieu, les langues sont pleines de tromperie.
What says she, Fairwoman? The tongues of men are full of deceit?
Oui, that the tongues of des mans is be full of deceit. That is the princess.
The princess is the better Englishwoman. My faith, Kate, my wooing is fit for thy understanding. I am glad thou canst speak no better English, for if thou couldst, thou would find me such a plain king that thou wouldst think I sold my farm to buy my crown. I don't know ways to mince it in love, Kate, but directly to say, I love you. And then if you urge me farther to say, do you in faith, I wear out my suit. Come give me your answer. I faith do, and so clap hands in a bargain.
C'est bon, Sonia. Me and Sandal.
Mary, if you put me to verses or to dance for your sake, Kate, why you undid me? For the one, I have neither strength nor measure, for the other, no strength in measure. Yet, a reasonable measure in strength. I might win a lady's favor leapfrog by vaulting into my saddle with my armor on my back. Under the correction of bragging being spoken, I should quickly leap into a wife. Or if I might fave my lover, bound my horse for her favors, right lay on like a butcher, sit like a jackanapes, never off. But before God, Kate, I cannot look greedy or gasp on my eloquence, nor have I no cunning and protestation, only downright oaths, which I never use to lurch, and never break forward. If thou canst love a fellow of this temper, whose face is not worth sunburn, never looks in his glass for love of anything he sees there, let thine eye be like hope. I speak to thee plain, soldier. Thou canst love me for this, take me. If not, say that I will die, 'tis true. For that love I will Lord know. And yet I love thee too. And while thou livest, Kate, take a fellow of plain and uncoined constancy. For he perforce must do thee right, for he hath not the gift to woo in other places. These fellows of infinite tongue that can rhyme themselves into a lady's favor, they do always reason themselves out again. What a speaker is but a prater, a rhyme is but a ballad. A good leg will fall and a straight back will stoop, a curled pate will grow bald and a full face will wither, a full eye will wax hollow. But a good heart, Kate. Well, a good heart is the sun and the moon. No. It is the sun and not the moon, for it shines brightly and never changes, but it keeps his course truly. What sayest thou unto my love? Speak, my fair, and fairly I pray thee.
Is it possible that I should love the enemy of France?
No. But in loving me, you do love the friend of France. For I love France so well that I will not part with a village of it. I will have it all mine. And Kate, France is mine, and I am yours, and yours is France, and you are mine.
I cannot tell what is that.
No? I should tell thee in French, which I am sure will hang about my tongue as a new married wife about her husband's neck, hardly to be shook off. Je compte sur la possession de France et quand vous avez la possession de moi, let me see what then. Saint Denis be my speed. Donc, votre France est vous êtes mien?
Vous êtes bien.
Vous êtes mien. It is as easy for me, Kate, to conquer the kingdom as to speak so much more French. I shall never move thee in French unless it be to laugh at me.
C'est bon, tonnerre. Le français que vous parlez. Il est meilleur langue que la je parle.
No, Faith, Kate, it's not. But thy speaking of my tongue and I of thine, most truly falsely must needs be granted to be such one. Canst thou understand this much English? Canst thou love me?
I cannot tell.
Well, can any of your neighbors tell, Kate? Come, I'll ask them. I know thou lovest me.
I do not know that.
No, 'tis hereafter to know. Now to promise. Do but promise. How answer you? La plus belle Catherine du monde, mon très cher et défendis?
Your Majesty, our Français and French should receive the most safe mademoiselle that is in France.
A fie upon my false French, Kate. By mine honor in true English, I love thee. And I will tell thee aloud, England is thine, Ireland is thine, France is thine. And Harry Plantagenet is thine. Come your answer in broken music, for thy voice is music and thy English broken. Queen of all Catherine,
Break thy mind unto me in broken English. Wilt thou have me?
That is, as it shall please the Roman pair.
Nay, it shall please him. It shall please him, Kate.
Then it shall also content me.
Upon that I kiss your hand and call you my queen.
That it is not the fashion for les ladies en France. I cannot tell what is baiser en English.
To kiss.
Your Majesty entendre better que moi.
It is not the fashion for maids in France to kiss before they are married, would she say?
Oui, vraiment.
Okay, great kings cannot be confined within the list of a country's fashion. We are the makers of manners, Kate. And the liberty that follows our places shall stop the mouths of all fine faults. As I will do yours. For upholding that nice fashion and denying me a kiss. Therefore, patiently and yielding. Oh, you have witchcraft in your lips, Kate. There is more eloquence and a sugar touch of them than in the tongues of the French council. And they should sooner persuade Harry of England than a general petition of monarchs. Ah, here comes your father.
God bless your majesty. My royal cousin, teach you our princess English?
I would have her learn, my fair cousin. How perfectly I love her. And that is good English.
As love is, my lord, before it loves.
It is so. And you may, some of you, thank love for my blindness. You cannot see many a fair French city, but for one fair French maid that stands in our way. And so the maiden cities you speak of shall wait on her. The fair French maid that stood in the way of my wishes shall show me the way to my will.
We've consented to all terms of reason.
Is it so, my lords of England?
The king hath granted every article. His daughter first, and then in sequel all, according to his firm composed nature.
Nor this I have not, brother, so denied. But your request shall make me let it pass.
Then in love and dear alliance, let that one article rank with the rest, and thereupon give me your daughter.
Take her, fair son, and from her blood raise up, issue to me, the contending kingdoms of France and England, whose very shores look pale and envy each other's happiness, may cease their hatred at the steered conjunction. That war to plant neighborhood and Christian-like accord in their sweet bosoms. That war never advance his bleeding sword twixt England and fair France.
Amen. Now welcome, Kate, and bear witness all. Here I kiss her as my sovereign queen.
Thus far, with breath and all and the able pen, our humble author hath pursued the story, mingling by starts these mighty men. Small time, but in that small most greatly lived this star of England. Fortune made his sword, by which the world's best garden be achieved, never left to send the imperial lord, Henry VI, an infant man's crowned king of France, and England did its king succeed, whose state so many had to manage, and that they lost France made his England bleed, which oft our states hath shown. So for their sake, in your fair minds, let this acceptance take,